I'm Scott L. Miller. It's the 23rd of November, 2023. This is my vlog of daily life, living in Latin America, and we are still in Bolivia today, but I didn't have a chance to do the intro, so I'm back home doing the intro for you, but we're going to be heading out in La Paz, Bolivia, more today. Now, I actually recorded 3 episodes all in one day because I was out so much in Bolivia. So this is going to be the part 2 of that. If you didn't see yesterday's episode, go watch that. That is this morning's hike that I did around the city of La Paz, which was really cool. And I got a lot of good feedback already by the time I'm recording this on that. I think you get a really good feel for what downtown looks like. We're going to walk around a bit more with my friend Marcelo in La Paz. He's from La Paz. Well, he lives there now. And we're going to see a bit more. So we're going to do that. And then at the very end of today's episode, you'll see where we're headed for tomorrow's, but everything was so long and I haven't had much time to get editing done that we're breaking it up in that way. So let's go explore more of La Paz right after the bump. Welcome back to La Paz. Like I said in the intro, this is actually in the early afternoon of my first full day in La Paz. Yesterday's episode I recorded in the relatively early morning at like 7 o'clock in the morning, and then I hiked for a couple hours after having coffee and got quite a few miles in the morning. Then I went back to my room. I got a little bit of time to just relax, and then I headed out with my buddy Marcelo, and he took me out to do a bit more exploring of the city. We had a little bit of a goal when we were out together, so this is a little bit different, and I got a bunch of cool clips. Some of this is very close to where I started off. I tried to start filming basically at the northwestern point of where I filmed this morning. So if you watch this morning, if you see where I went up and then turned to go back to the park, this is basically starting from that same point but continuing to the northwest, and it's the same day, just maybe 5 hours later. So there were a bunch of areas here that he thought would be really cool to walk around. I just grabbed some loose shots and I'm just putting them together for you. This is a little bit different, quite a bit different actually, of an episode that I'm doing today, partially because I'm really low on time. I've been so busy with all the travel and getting back and trying to upload, and believe it or not, since I've gotten home, I've actually had much more problems dealing with uploads and things than I did while I was out in Bolivia, which is crazy that that's how it ended up working out. But for some reason, once I got home, I found that both of the services I use, actually all 3 of them that I use, are acting like my uploads are incredibly slow when my normal upload speed is working great. So I know that I have the upload speeds, but things are just taking a long time. So I'm trimming things down, cutting things up, and making it a little bit easier. And I think this is going to make more sense. We just did so much today that I think breaking it into several parts is going to work out the best for you. So these are really just walking scenes. I love that there's a Kodak Express there. Walking scenes of Bolivia. That is the police station. That big green building is a police station. He was pointing that out to me. So this is very much the middle of La Paz, the main city in Bolivia. And we had a really good walk. I'm really shocked by, okay, wait, so these yellow duck things, these, I'm told, only appeared on the streets like 2 days before, and they are everywhere. I mean, everywhere. You'll see a bunch of them. I'll try not to point them all out, but you'll see them over and over. They're really bright yellow, and you'll notice them on children as you go by. You'll see people selling them, and it's just like this really cheap plastic duck on a spring, and they sell them everywhere on the street. It's like this really big thing. This is the main cathedral in the middle of the city. Tons of people out here. I was really impressed by how many people just hang out in front of the cathedral. It's pretty wild. And so we worked our way up here, and this is a really cool old building. La Paz is very old as cities in Bolivia go. Cochabamba and Santa Cruz de la Sierra are certainly much younger, but this is a very old city, and actually quite a bit of the city dates back to the Incan era. Of course, not in the form that it is now, but this was an Incan settlement in the pre-Columbian era. But look at the size of this crowd. Like, this is absolutely crazy how many people are just hanging out in the square. You get this on festival days. Yeah, that's Marcelo right there, taking some pictures for us. And some people hiding from the cameras. I have no idea what's going on. And on festival days in like Leon, you will get tons of people like this in the square, but on a normal day, not at all. But this is just a random day that we're out there, and there were just so many people and so many vendors and people actually doing their shopping. And this is not a touristy city. It may be the most touristy city in Bolivia, but Bolivia is in no way a touristy country. So that La Paz just draws a slight bit more than the rest of the country, but its altitude is so high that it discourages a lot of people, and it's very difficult to get to, and that's why there aren't really direct flights into it. There's one or two, they're very rare, but in general you have to do some hops to get here. That's how little of a tourist destination this is. In many ways, this is harder to get to than Managua. I would dare say, in quite a few cases. Now, I did ask about all these people speaking over here. There's a bunch of people listening to someone, and it seemed like it was a political rally or something. He said it's actually a comedian just doing some outdoor advertisement or whatever. So it was not a rally in any way like that. And here we are walking along the highway. And we're heading up towards a market. The market here is indoors. I'm not sure how long it's going to take us to get there, but there was this really cool. And I got to show it. This is Mamani, if I get that right. Mamani, that's how you say it. Very famous artist in Bolivia. We saw some of his stuff in Cochabamba as well. Beautiful mural on the market there. We're heading into the market. This is it right here, the Lanza Market. And these stalls are tiny. Now, this is Sunday, so everything's closed. But normally, these are all open. He said this place is absolutely packed. These stalls are quite expensive. People really do come shopping here, so it's a high-ticket item to be able to work in this space. This is kind of the Bolivian equivalent of the mall. It's very weird that something that seems so basic is so incredibly popular and people just pile in. And he said that it's so common for people to consider the food in this destination, and you can see Pedidos Ya, and this is what we're showing. All of those are restaurants. Every single one of those, they say comida, those are all restaurants, and Victoria's open right now. Those are so popular that people go there just to eat. And during the day, they're absolutely packed with people. There you can see the cathedral from the market. It's interesting seeing the market like that, very different than the markets we have here in Central America, for example. And just a gorgeous day in the city. It was such a great day to be out walking all day. Lots of bright sun, but not too hot, which was really nice. It looks warmer than it is. It actually was relatively cool. Even though we were in a heat wave, it only brought it up to mildly warm, not hot in any way whatsoever. I was really shocked by just how good all the walking was. We had a really easy time breathing and everything. And this being, we only got in last night. Today was my day that I scheduled that I would have nothing to do. My expectation was that maybe I would do a video in the apartment, maybe I would make it out for a meal, and that was about it. But I ended up doing three very long walks. And getting many miles down during that time. And certainly at moments I felt winded, but overall I felt great almost the whole time. Really went well, and is just surprising how little the altitude affected me. Now, this area is really cool. There's a lot of cool old buildings over there, but what we're on, and that's the market. That's one of the spots where this walkway attaches to one of the market buildings. This is a kind of skyway pedestrian way that goes over a bunch of the city, and we had seen it, that highway that's going underneath there is one of the main connectors. So we saw this walkway as we came in from the airport last night, and it looked so cool, and luckily I got to come out and walk it today just to show you how you kind of pedestrians get around in downtown and how they make getting over the highway a really easy thing. As that's a big road, it would be a big pain to cross, and this really just kind of funnels people up and around in a way that was you almost don't notice that you are going over a highway. It just feels like a neat feature of downtown more than anything. And then when you're done, you're like, oh, I'm on the other side of the highway now. That's really handy. So I was very impressed by that. A lot of the walking in Bolivia has been very good. Just very safe, very easy to get places. Crossing the road is a little bit crazy. Traffic is definitely, it looks fine here, right in this picture, but when you get to an intersection or a circle, it does get pretty wild. They seem to have a different style of driving, maybe different rules of the road than we're used to. And I would not want to drive there personally. Doable, but very rough and seemingly unpredictable to me. So not something that just fits with my Western experience, or my North American experience, I should say. And now we're going to head back into one of the street level markets again. This is just open air, people selling stuff on the street. There's a little walkway going up. That's a university. You go up those stairs there, up to some university buildings. And here we are over with those cool older buildings that were lining the highway. Now, as we come down here, this is a little bit interesting. First of all, there's a number of fast food restaurants down here. So there's um, uh, this is true in pretty much every country, but here in Nicaragua, we get very few like national chains. We have a couple, and they tend to be very small and not very interesting. And coming from the United States, of course, we have tons of really famous chain restaurants and chain stores and things like that. But here in Bolivia, there was actually a surprising number of like restaurant and retail chains that at some points you would really recognize. Now, really quickly, this hat dealer, we're going to walk right over here. I ended up buying that hat that's sitting on top there, and you can see the feather blowing around. That is now my hat that we stopped, and I'm like, can I try this on? And it was $3. You'll see it in a bunch of the videos. I now wear it. It is my new favorite hat. I really, really like it. It looks great on me. I think I've gotten so many compliments on it. And it was $3 right there in the street. That's where we got it. And I even got it on the video. So I'm sad we didn't get the hat buying process on the video, but I did get the hat itself. Now we're into a square. That is some of the government buildings right in front of us. So this Marcelo wanted to take me around to a number of the famous plazas and squares around the city. So we're seeing some well-known buildings and that kind of stuff. A lot of great plazas, a lot of especially in La Paz, I think there's an incredible amount of beautiful urban architecture. In Cochabamba, it's much more nondescript, modern buildings. They give you a very clean, modern, sleek feel that's perfect for ground level retail. It's perfect for coffee shops and restaurants. And then La Paz, this is me at the government building getting my picture taken with the guards. And of course, I put my arms up, and the guy's like, "No, you can't put your arms up." Like, I'm like, "What? Wait, what?" He's like, "No, you can't do that." I'm like, "Okay, that's weird." But anyway, that was me getting. There's also a photograph somewhere that Marcelo took right there. And that was my quick moment at the government building. The architecture here in La Paz feels so much more classic, so much more European. This really big, old, impressive. Giant architecture, right? These huge columns, these old-fashioned things, these flourishes, things that big buildings, but only a couple stories tall, things that you don't really see in modern architecture. La Paz has this, and it's so different. Like, it's hard to believe that La Paz and Cochabamba are so close to each other, but they're so distant in time from when they were designed. You really do feel it. And here, I was told, in most of the country, they use gas, as in liquid petroleum gas, to power like taxis and things. That helps keep the cost down because they produce a lot of it in Bolivia. But this is the same building, we're just across the square. And here in La Paz, that doesn't produce enough energy for the cars to make it up the hills, and so they have to use gasoline, which is more expensive here for taxis and stuff because the hills are so steep so much of the time that they just have to have it. So that was just a point of interest as we were going around exploring the city. It was, like I said, it was a gorgeous day. It's getting a little bit late here. You can see just this great sunlight coming down. It was very, very nice in a lot of ways. There's Marcelo's videoing me, and there you can see me with the hat. Already have it on, getting it in the videos. And I'm carrying my old hat around. We had a fun day getting out and exploring, and Alan and Anna were not able to join us. They we're definitely feeling the altitude sickness. We had gone out in the morning, and if you watch yesterday's episode, you see that we went out to the cafe, and today after that, because this is just a couple hours after that, they were pretty tired, and I was all day like, I'm just out hiking, and Marcel was like, "What? You're out hiking? I'm coming to meet you." So that's kind of how we ended up doing this, but it ended up perfect because I got to see a lot of the city and just walk around. Now, the thing that everyone says to do when you're in La Paz is to take the cable cars. And I certainly want to show you that, the Teleferico. It is beautiful, and you can see it in some of the shots that I have, especially the ones I did yesterday. I showed it at some different times, and that was a big thing that we wanted to do today. But I'm not going to show that in this video. So if you're watching for that, you're going to have to hang tight. I did spend 2 days doing quite a lot of riding on the gondolas throughout the city, and it is absolutely fantastic, and it is a lot like taking the best ride in Disney World and taking it to a new level. Nothing in Disney World goes as high or goes as far. It's just epic as far as that is concerned. That is so epic, in fact, that I think it warrants its own episode, an episode where we can talk about it and show it, and people who are interested in it can really focus. So I'm keeping today to just our meanderings of the city. And tomorrow I'm going to show you and talk about the Teleferico and the public transportation network as it is here in La Paz, because it is so important. It is really its own topic, and a lot of great video views. Unfortunately, the windows on it are very scratched and dirty, as they would be. It's public transportation. Imagine if you're on a subway or something and you wanted to take video out the windows. That would cause all kinds of image quality problems, just because those train windows are not kept pristine. They can't be, or riding in a bus going from place to place, your windows are always covered in oil and grease or whatever, fingerprints. So we have the same problem on the Teleferico, unfortunately, but obviously that is just the way things have to be. But I think you're going to like, we've got some really interesting footage to show tomorrow. So hopefully you guys are looking forward to that. And hopefully you enjoyed just doing a walk around some more of La Paz. This is such a beautiful city. It's neat that I got to compare 3 absolutely different cities across Bolivia in this very short trip. And of course, if you're coming to visit Bolivia, I would recommend that you at least see Cochabamba and La Paz, if not Santa Cruz, because they really do represent completely different parts of the culture, different aspects of the country, different ideas as to what it means to be Bolivian, of course. And of course, they call themselves the plural national state, right? They really make an effort at being a high diversity country with a lot of interesting things like that. So it is very fitting. But I'm going to wrap up here in just a minute. But thank you so much for joining me. Like and subscribe if you'd like to support the channel. Of course, you can do so at buymeacoffee.com/Scott Allen Miller. That comes directly to me. And here we are getting ready for tomorrow's episode. That is the Teleferico station. You can see the gondolas going in and out of it. How cool is that? If that doesn't encourage you to come watch tomorrow's episode, I don't know what's going to, because that just looks like so much fun. And walking up to this, I'm like so excited. I'm like, I get to ride the Teleferico, which of course I've ridden every Teleferico I've ever come across anywhere, because I like public transportation and I really love cable cars. So you put the two together and it's about perfect. But this is going to be, in about 30 seconds here, the best public transportation cable system I've ever used in my life. This was so impressive, and is generally ranked only with Medellin, Colombia, in the world leaders in this type of mountainous terrain public transportation network. And I have to say, I agree, this has to be one of the prime examples of just how cool and interesting and effective this type of transportation can be. And I'd love to see numbers on what they think the effectiveness of this has been, and the cost, how the cost is played in. But very cool. Stay tuned for that. Come join us tomorrow for that. Share on social media. Tell your friends about the show. Tell your parents, your cousins, someone you know who's interested in travel in Nicaragua, in Bolivia, in South America, Latin American life. And I will see all of you tomorrow.